Hey there, and welcome to episode 10 of the Power of Practice podcast. Lean just beyond your edge.
Welcome to the Power of Practice podcast with Matthew Tweedy. Discover how to leverage the potential of your unconscious mind so you can create an abundant and empowered existence. Here's your host, Matthew Tweedy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back, and thanks for joining me. So, this episode, and I'm actually had a bright spark, a brainwave of sorts, and there's so much I want to share, and this is such a broad aspect or broad title, the power of practice. And as I discussed in the intro or episode 1, there's a lot of ways we're going to be going with this, and part of practice, in my opinion, and practice makes perfect, is purpose and persistence and determination, and all those things culminating together to create the outcomes we want in life, whatever that is for you. And on my quest and journey to make these changes for myself, and the mission that I've been on, I'm aware that a lot of people can benefit from these things. So this episode is all about, well, one of the books I'm reading. I'm one of those serial read many books at the same time type of people. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It depends on the opinion, right? Though certainly all of the books that I read in some way, shape or form are related to, human potential. So I'm going to share a sentiment, a thought with you all on with this book that I'm reading, and then just dive a bit deeper into the concepts, because I think it's a rather important sentiment. So really nice to go into a bit more detail on it. The book that I'm reading currently is one of the many books I'm reading currently, but this particular book we're going to be focusing on now is David Deida, The Way of the Superior Man. And it's written really beautifully, and the chapters are laid out, just almost like a page to 2 pages at a time, and each one has a preface, a short paragraph outlining the concept. So with this particular episode, I'm just going to dive right in and then start to discuss this concept. So the chapter title is Lean Just Beyond Your Edge. In any given moment, a man's growth is optimized if he leans just beyond his edge, his capacity, his fear. He should not be too lazy, happily stagnating in the zone of security and comfort, nor should he push far beyond his edge, stressing himself unnecessarily, unable to metabolize his experience. He should lean just slightly beyond the edge of fear and discomfort, constantly, in everything he does. Now, there's a lot in that, and yeah, thanks, David Deida. Of course, crediting him for the wonderful thought and the concept. There's a lot inside of that. I mean, firstly, what is your edge? I think I can certainly share with you all the fact that on some level, throughout my life at least, I think I've almost wanted to run away from my edge, especially earlier in life. As a teen, we often tend to find it, and then for whatever reason, back away. And that's definitely a part of maturing, backing away from our edge, the the capacity, however you look at that. And then through backing away, there's a lot of danger, isn't there? I mean, we can find ourselves backing off too much and never really challenging ourselves. We can push too hard and burn out. And that's not a nice place to be. The flip side is being scared of burning out is a horrible place to exist as well. In my opinion, I've been there before. I've had, certainly in my professional life, advice from mentors and so on and so forth, not to burn out. But who wants to live in fear of not necessarily pushing too hard, but if you don't get to that edge, how on earth are you ever going to ride the wave and just really live at it? Takes dedication, but I think it also takes a great level of emotional intelligence. And with that, I think comes or needs to be some wisdom too. So a lot to think about when we're talking about, well, finding our edge and then and leaning just beyond it. And obviously it's a balancing act, isn't it? And we've all I can certainly make the assumption that we've all felt what it's like to go beyond leaning just a little bit into it. And then, of course, the tragedy of not pressing up against our edge. You know, if we're not being challenged, there's no occasion to rise up to. It's really funny, that delicate balance in life. And I think that's why this particular chapter really spoke to me. I think from recalling it, there was more talk. David Deida spoke more about the fact that most people, they often don't find their edge and they settle for the easy path in life. And that's challenging to ponder too, because again, if I think back to what I set out to do with this podcast, is definitely about assisting like-minded people to make life a little bit easier. And at the same time, we don't really want to be living life too easily, do we? So, getting to know one's edge, getting familiar with that, to be able to lean into it. There's a lot of value in that, wouldn't you say? So if I could, I guess, provoke a thought, get you thinking about this concept, then I'm really happy about that. I do want to ask you a question though. Firstly, can you think of a time in your life when you found your edge? You were, consciously or unconsciously, through necessity or functionality, you just found your edge, and as much as it may have been uncomfortable, could you recognize enjoyment in that moment? So, yeah, take some time out and have a think about that. Even as I'm speaking now, perhaps you'll allow your mind to go to a time. Have you ever been there before where you were right at your edge? You were aware of it on some level. And just think about all of the wonderful resources that, how good it felt. even inside of that discomfort, how good it felt. The challenge, the push, the drive, the guts, the glory, all that fun stuff. It felt pretty good, didn't it? And projecting that out now into the future. Perhaps now as you feel all of those good feelings and then looking out to something that's potentially been avoided in the past, how much easier it is now as you look out there and feel all those good feelings and notice the change in perspective. Secondly, I just want to ask you another question. Briefly have a think about where it is in life that you could benefit from leaning into the edge of that context of life. Perhaps it's your physical fitness or health and fitness in general. So, moving towards a greater capacity of beneficial nutritional intake. Exercise that's more challenging and that gives you a little bit more spring in your step in general. Perhaps it's your communication and how you connect with others and kind of leaning into that, maybe being a bit more expressive or imaginative, or perhaps you want to inspire people. Or another area, maybe what you can do to make life more fulfilling in the context of relationships or family. Whatever that is, have a think, have a meditate, and just see if you can find any benefit in allowing yourself to see perhaps something that you haven't been looking for the purpose of improvement, growth, and development. Now, I know I have been a little bit ambiguous, but I really feel that framework will allow you to fill in the gaps to see what you can see and make change where appropriate. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Matthew Tweedy. Catch me on Matthew Tweedy Hypnosis website, Instagram, Facebook, The Power of Practice podcast. Go ahead and subscribe. Also rate and review, but the imperative is to hit that subscribe button. Ciao for now. Keep growing and evolving.